So in this video, we're going to talk about credit cards and how we can calculate how much interest we'd have to pay if we use our credit card to make purchases. So a few things to know about a credit card. First of all, you can think of it as a type of loan, a pre-approved loan. So you might have a credit card with a limit of just say $5,000. That just means that the bank has pre-approved you to be able to borrow $5,000 at any time that you like, and you can use that loan to purchase anything that you liked. So a credit card is definitely a loan, and there is always an interest rate attached. Now, interest generally with credit cards is calculated daily. So that means that at the end of every single day, whatever's owing on your credit card, the bank will do a calculation and they'll figure out how much interest for that day do you owe. Now, you won't have to pay your interest every single day. You might get billed at the end of the month, or you might just pay it off in 3 months' time or in 4 months' time. But they calculate the interest daily, and we know the more often the banks calculate interest, that means the more that they're going to charge. So credit cards, generally, interest is calculated daily. Credit cards sometimes have an interest-free period. Which sounds great. And what it means is that, just say, for example, if there's an interest-free period of 10 days, that just means if you purchase a big shiny TV, but you pay back your loan within the 10 days, so maybe on the 5th day, they won't charge you any interest. However, if you purchase your big shiny TV, there's an interest-free period of 10 days, but you pay it back on the 11th day, what the bank will do is they'll go back and calculate the interest for all of those days, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and they'll charge you that. So the thing to remember is if there's an interest-free period and you pay off your credit card before it runs out, you don't have to pay any interest, just the amount that you borrowed, so maybe the amount for that TV. If you pay off your credit card after the interest-free period, you'll need to pay the interest for all the days up until the day that you pay, as well as the amount that you borrowed on your credit card as well. Now, because credit cards calculate interest daily and they calculate it compounding, we're going to use our compound interest formula that we've used for everything else so far, which looks a little bit like this. Now, because interest is calculated daily, that just means that whenever we pop our interest rate in, if it's an annual interest rate, we need to make sure that we turn it into a daily interest rate. And if we're putting in N here, we just need to make sure that whatever we're putting into the N spot represents the number of days. And we'll have a practice at that in a sec. Let's have a look at how we can use the compound interest formula to calculate how much we'd owe on a credit card if we make a purchase. So let's have a look at a bit of a simple example first. So let's say that we purchase something for $2,000 and the purchase is made on August the 20th. So the interest rate on this credit card is 17% per annum, so it's a yearly interest rate. And we're going to pay off this credit card in full. So whatever's owing on the credit card, we're going to pay it off on November 7th. Now this credit card has an interest-free grace period of 20 days. Okay, so if we're going to use our compound interest formula, we need to find a couple of things. First, we need to find how many days in total is there between August 20 and November the 7th. So N is going to be, well, between the 20th of August and the end of the month, so August has 31 days, it'll be 31 minus 20. Then September has 30 days, so that's August, September. Now we need October. October has 31 days. And then finally, November, but we pay off in full on November 7th. So we're only going to add another 7 days. So we'd have 11 plus 30 plus 31 plus 7, which will give us 79 days. Okay, so in total, from the day that this thing was purchased to the day that it was paid off in full, there were 79 days. Now, we notice that it says there's an interest-free grace period of 20 days. So that means if we did pay it off within the 20 days, don't pay any interest. However, we've definitely paid it off after 20 days. So that means that we will have to calculate some interest. So let's go to the next step and figure out, well, how much do we have to pay back in full? So this is where we get our formula. So V79 equals V0. So V0 is the starting amount, or the amount that we borrow at the start. Now remember, a credit card is like a pre-approved loan. So the starting amount is going to be $2,000. And then we're going to say 1 and it's plus. And then we've got our rate. So it's 17%. However, credit cards generally calculate interest daily. So we're going to turn this from a monthly interest rate to a yearly interest rate. And then we're going to raise this to the power of 79. So at this point, we would get our CAS calculator out and we would see what we would get. So with the help of my CAS, I would have, $2,076.87. So I've rounded that correctly. So basically, at the end of those 79 days, I'd have to pay back the $2,000 because that's how much I spent on my credit card. Plus, there's an extra $76.87. That portion is the interest that I had to pay, so the extra. So in total, I had to pay back $2,076.87. So let's have a look at a very similar question, except this time it's a bit of a worded situation. So we sort of have to dig through this story to find out the information that we need. Okay, so Adam purchases a MacBook Air for $1,300 on his credit card on August the 16th. So this is going to be our starting date, and this one here will be V0. His credit card has an interest-free grace period of 30 days. So if we pay off that credit card within those 30 days, we don't have to pay any interest. We just pay back the amount for the MacBook. But let's keep reading. At a rate of 22.1% per annum, so that's going to be R. But we need to remember, we will need to convert this to a daily interest rate because that's per annum, that's yearly. So Adam pays the credit card in full on October 10. How much must Adam pay? Okay, let's first figure out how many days worth of interest will Adam have to pay. That'll help us with our calculation. So let's figure out N, so the number of days in total. So if Adam purchases on August 16, so August has 31 days. So this will represent how many days are left in August. And then September has 30 days. So that's August, September, then this one will be October. So we only need to add another 10 days because we pay it off in full on October 10. So if we get the help of our calculator, so we'd have 15 plus 30 plus 10, which would give us 55 days in total. So there's 55 days worth of interest that needs to be calculated. Now, the interest-free grace period was 30 days. So yeah, unfortunately, we'll miss out on that. We'll definitely have to work out all the interest because we paid it too late. So let's go ahead and figure out, well, how much do we have to pay in total? So we are going to work out V55. So V0, so that's our starting amount, or how much we purchased, how much we borrowed. That's $1,300 for that shiny new MacBook Air. 1 plus, because we're adding interest. Now rate, so we've got 22.1%. We need to turn it into a yearly interest rate. Over 100, and then raise it all to the power of 55. Okay, so at this point we get our CAS calculator out to give us a bit of a hand. And we have $1,345 So that means that a laptop that originally cost $1,300, because we put it on our credit card and because we had to pay extra interest, that laptop has now cost us $1,345. So an extra $45.14 that we had to pay in interest.